Well, greetings friends, and welcome to Begin by Praying. Now last week we started talking about the living water that God wants to pour into our lives in order to bless and refresh us. We talked about how that water is the same water that Isaiah tells us about in Isaiah chapter 58. Today we're going to see how this blessing is played out in our lives when we get on the potter's wheel and start doing life God's way. Now in Isaiah chapter 58, if you recall, he says that if we feed the hungry, if we clothe the naked, if we extend our souls to the hungry, and that's a beautiful word picture by the way, then God will take care of us when we are going through hard times and when we go through droughts. And He will make sure that we have enough for ourselves and enough to share with other people. So let's make the connection here and see what Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 25. He's teaching His disciples how to treat people. And we start here in verse 37. Then the righteous will answer Him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? And the king will answer and say to them, Assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did this to the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. Do you get the connection here? Do you see that the same thing that Isaiah is saying in chapter 58, it's the same thing that Jesus is telling us in Matthew chapter 25 about how we're supposed to treat people? More importantly, do you see that as we start meeting other people's needs, we start pouring our lives into other people, when we get past that selfish point in our lives where we think this life is just all about us, that's when God can start using us and start pouring into our lives, because He can trust us to give to others. I want to share with you something I heard Joyce Meyer say a couple of years ago. Now, if you're not familiar with Joyce Meyer Ministries, I invite you to go online and check her out. She's one of the most incredible servants of God and one of the most anointed Bible teachers you will ever hear. But Joyce said something a couple of years ago that not only stuck with me, it changed my life. And Joyce says, I don't hold on to anything so tightly that I can't give it away. Now that's profound. And when I heard those words, I was challenged. Can I say that and mean it? Is that my heart? Well, no, it wasn't. Well, not at the time. But I'll tell you what, I started praying about that. And I started asking God to give me a generous heart. And some people might say, well, Joyce Meyer can afford to replace anything she gives away. Well, maybe so. How do you think she got that way? Joyce Meyer developed a generous heart. And the more she gives to other people, the more God gives to her, so she can keep giving to others. And that's the way a generous heart works in God's economy. When we meet other people's needs, He will make sure we have enough to meet our own needs, our family's needs, and plenty to give to others. And that's what it means to have that living water flowing through us, helping others. So I want you to see that and make that connection today. This changed my life. God has developed in me a generous heart. And I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to live life any other way. I don't hold on to the things of this world anymore. I don't chase after them. I enjoy them while I have them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're not taking anything with us when we leave here, so don't get too attached to it. Become a generous giver and use what you have to meet other people's needs. That is the true joy of giving, and that is the true meaning of the living water flowing through us. Thank you for joining me here today. We'll see you right back here next week, and until then, you keep your eyes on Jesus and not on your troubles. Thank you.